Hello to all who watch my videos. As you all know, we are now in the month of April, and I thought that I would make a video just for fun of all the movies that I checked out in March. These are not only movies I saw for the first time, but also rewatches, movies I saw in the theaters, etc. I was looking at all the movies I watched, and I watched roughly around 20, I think 22 to be exact. Normally I'm not able to watch as many movies per month, but I had spring break this month, and so it gave me an opportunity to watch a few more movies that I wouldn't have watched regularly. And so starting off with the first movie, I think I watched this on the first day of the month. I watched Fruitvale Station on VidAngel. I really like this movie. There's something about Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler. They team up for like every movie and they always do really well. Creed was amazing. Black Panther was amazing. I think Ryan Coogler has done great with his career thus far. He's become one of those directors that whenever I see a Ryan Coogler movie coming out now, it's going to be on my radar. I'm going to be looking out for it. I give this movie a 10 out of 10. Believe it or not, March was the 6-year anniversary of the first Hunger Games movie hitting theaters. And so I thought that I would revisit the series. These movies are so good. I especially like them because they just throw me back to my high school years. I was a freshman when the first Hunger Games came out. I think the best thing about the first movie is Jennifer Lawrence's acting and Donald Sutherland as President Snow. They both do a really good job. I watched Sing Street. It wasn't as musical-esque as I thought it would be, but I still enjoyed it for the most part. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a bad movie. It just wasn't a movie that I really clinged to. I found myself looking at the runtime more and more the closer it got to being over. But I will say that there's a song from this movie that I really enjoyed called Drive It Like You Stole It, I think. Yeah, it's called Drive It Like You Stole It. I had to look it up on my Spotify playlist. When it comes on shuffle, I listen to the whole thing through. I'm starting to learn the lyrics. I'm starting to sing along and become a member of the cast. I even got a call back for Sing Street 2. I think they're wanting me for that movie. I would give Sing Street a 7 out of 10. The next movie I watched after Sing Street was Catching Fire. Not only is it the best Hunger Games movie in the series, I think it is one of the best sequels of all time. They took everything from the Hunger Games that was good and made it even better. Plus, it is one of the most faithful adaptations of a book that I've ever seen. Once again, Jennifer Lawrence and Donald Sutherland steal the show, but in this one there are even more good actors, which is great. I think Josh Hutcherson improved on his acting for Peeta, and I think his name's Sam Claflin as Finnick. He was introduced in the movie. The arena is totally different. The stakes are so much higher, and it's amazing. The next movie I watched was on VidAngel as well, and that was Fargo. I'm trying to watch movies that were released in my birth year, 1996, and Fargo is one of the most well-known movies, not only of 1996, but of all time. So I watched it, and here's what I have to say about it. Yeah! It was a good movie. It was kind of like a dark comedy, but very unsettling, more dark than comedic. And I would give Fargo an 8 out of 10. I saw Prisoners for the first time. It was on TV, and I checked it out, and I really enjoyed this movie. I remember when it came out years ago, I really wanted to see it, but I never got around to it. And so, seeing it was on TV, I checked it out and was not disappointed. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors working today. I think that he is so good in the roles that he plays. And Hugh Jackman is amazing as well. Put them two together in a crime thriller, suspense mystery movie, and I mean, it's just great. Plus, it's got that one kid that's in like everything that, I don't know what it is, but his face just like bothers me. Yeah. Like, he's a good actor, good on him, but ever since I saw him for the first time, I think he was in the last season of Lost, he's just kind of bothered me, but he doesn't play a big role in the movie, so that's good. I think the biggest thing I can say about this movie is that it's crazy. I would give it a 9 out of 10. I also caught The Man from U.N.C.L.E. or The Man from U.N.C.L.E. on TV, and I'm not gonna lie, I got an hour into it and then I turned it off. The whole thing was just very pretentious to me. I didn't really like Henry Cavill's character like at all. I felt like he was trying to be this really like studly person, really cool, really like suave, and it just didn't click with me. It didn't work. It was kind of like a failed attempt of a Bond movie in my opinion, and so I feel bad. Normally I don't stop the movie in the middle of it, but I did with The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and no regrets. I would give that one a 6 out of 10. If you guys know me, you know I love Jimmy Stewart. This guy right here. He is the coolest. So I watched a Jimmy Stewart movie. It's definitely a more underrated movie that I'm sure none of you have heard of. Call Northside 777. It's about a reporter who basically opens up a murder case from a decade before, and it takes place during the Great Depression, I think. Jimmy Stewart is the one who plays the reporter who's trying to prove that this guy who supposedly committed a murder is innocent. It also has Lee J. Cobb from 12 Angry Men, and this movie actually gave me big 12 Angry Men vibes. Probably because they're trying to claim someone is innocent of a crime they didn't commit. It has a narrator voice. Like, for an example, the movie begins and the narrator is like, "It is 19 blah blah blah. The Great Depression is at large, and in the last 1 year, 365 cops have been killed." And the whole entire thing is based off a true story too, which made me more intrigued. But overall, it was just a solid black and white movie. It wasn't amazing, wasn't bad. I would give it an 8 out of 10. I also watched Joel Edgerton's directorial debut from 2015, The Gift. And let me tell you guys, this movie was a trip. I think that it had an amazing message behind it. It was just an enjoyable watch. It was a movie that we watched it was suspenseful, it was mysterious, and the movie ended and I was satisfied with the ending, and I went to bed thinking, wow, that was a good watch. Gordo the Weirdo's not so weird after all, huh, Jason Bateman? That was stupid. 9 out of 10. I then continued my trek of the Hunger Games movies with my older sister. We watched The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. This is definitely the weakest movie of the series. The biggest mistake the creators of the movies made with this series was splitting the third movie into 2 parts. Take the hanging tree scene from the first part, as well as maybe one of the propaganda scenes where she like visits the districts, and then take all of part 2, merge those into one movie, and it would be an amazing finale. It would just be a solid trilogy, 3 movies, not 4. But instead, we see part 1, and it's a very long and slow movie. You get the hanging tree scene, which is really the best scene of the movie. Jennifer Lawrence is good at acting, as always. I would give it a 7 out of 10. We then watched Mockingjay Part 2. I wouldn't have even been opposed to cutting some scenes out of this movie. The last 2 movies in the Hunger Games series are just so slow. Like, even this one starts off really slow, and then you get like 30 minutes of solid action, but then it's slow again. I would give this one an 8 out of 10. Before I move on, I want to quickly give a shout out to the Hunger Games series for how well they did with their marketing. I remember when ads were playing for part 1, it made you feel as if the Capitol was sending an announcement to you personally, where President Snow is giving an announcement when suddenly BT like interrupts the announcement and says that the Mockingjay lives and we're coming for the rebellion or something like that. I don't remember. Look up some of the posters for these movies. The posters are good. The commercials are well done. Even like the main menu and the commercials on the Blu-ray disc are well done. I really like that. It's not your standard young adult movie series. I think it's a lot better than that. The next movie I watched was X-Men Apocalypse. I did not enjoy this movie like at all. I think my biggest problem with it is that it's just really unnecessarily violent. Like someone will say something to Apocalypse and he'll just like cut their head off, and it's like, whoa, dude, what the freak is your problem? I didn't like the Apocalypse character at all. I will say the only thing I did like about this movie was seeing like Scott and Jean and Storm and Nightcrawler, I think his name's Nightcrawler, when they're young teenagers. That was really cool. But to quote Jean in this movie itself, the third movie is always the weakest, and that was the case with this movie. I would give Apocalypse a 6 out of 10. I watched Big Hero 6 for the first time since theaters. It's just kind of a Disney movie that's there that I enjoy. I think it's pretty funny, and outside of that, there's nothing else to say. 8 out of 10. So this is one movie. Do you guys have those movies in your collections, or the movies that you see at stores where you look at them and you tell yourself, I will watch that movie someday, but then it's like someday never happens, and before you know it, it's been 10 years that you've been telling yourself you're going to watch a certain movie? That's how Master and Commander Far Side of the World is for me. I'm so bad that I had to look at the title online. I'm a fan of Russell Crowe, and I also think Peter Weir is a very good director, and so that's what initially intrigued my interest. That's what made me want to watch this movie. And after viewing it, I wasn't disappointed. It was a very solid movie. It's a little longer than I would have wanted it to be. It's just a solid pirate movie. Speaking of solid pirates movies, it's also similar to another pirate movie that came out the same year called Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. These two movies are so freaking similar. They came out in the same year. They both have a character that's a captain that's name is Jack. They also both have a character named Will, and they both have an actor from the Lord of the Rings series. Plus, they both take place on a ship with pirates, and that whole pirate life. I don't really know where I'm getting with this. It was a fun watch. I would give it an 8 out of 10. With Infinity War coming out this month, geez, that came fast. I've been watching a few of the MCU movies, just the ones that I haven't seen in a long time. So I watched Guardians of the Galaxy. It's still my favorite MCU movie. Watch Mojo or Looper, one of those big YouTube channels that rank things. They recently came out with a video where they ranked MCU's best scenes. They didn't include the scene where the Guardians hold the Infinity Stone all together and they're locked hands, which made me kind of ticked because that is definitely my favorite scene in MCU. That, and also probably when it like pans around the Avengers in that first Avengers movie when they're in New York City. I watched Dunkirk again. This is my third time seeing it ever. I saw it twice in the theaters and then I checked it out for the first time on Blu-ray. I think the best thing about Dunkirk is while there's not much dialogue, it keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire runtime, and I think this is thanks to the story, the way it was edited, and also the score by Hans Zimmer. There's no complaints, guys. I would give Dunkirk a 10 out of 10. I then watched a masterpiece of a movie. It came out in theaters in March, and it is a little movie that I like to call Pacific Rim Uprising. Wow, this movie was amazing. What can I say, guys? The fight scenes were underwhelming. The acting, not very good. And also, we even got to see two characters from the Harry Potter series, Draco Malfoy and Neville Longbottom. Definitely check this movie out if you guys are game. I would give Pacific Rim Uprising a 4 out of 10. Now on to some good movies. I watched Kubo and the Two Strings for the first time, and it was just a really weird watch, but I love the company that does it. I never know how to pronounce it. It's either like Laika or Leica. My only complaint is I don't think Charlize Theron was a good choice to play the monkey. Her voice just doesn't match a monkey character. I would give Kubo an 8 out of 10. I then watched the second half of La La Land. Let me explain. La La Land is a movie where I can watch it literally any time just because I love it so much. And so I'll watch an hour of it randomly and then I'll finish it like 2 months later. And so this was the case with this time. I started it like back in January, I think, and I finally finished it in March. There are few movies in the world that are so good and they mean so much to me that they don't deserve a 10 out of 10, they deserve an 11 out of 10. La La Land is one of those movies. La La Land gets an 11 out of 10. Here's to the Fools Who Dream. That is like such a powerful scene. But we're going to move on. I watched a Netflix original film on VidAngel. Once again, VidAngel's like my best friend. It is called The Ritual. I actually found out about this movie because Guillermo del Toro tweeted and recommended this movie. So I watched it and I was not disappointed at all. It was a very enjoyable movie and it had me engaged with the plot the entire runtime. There's only one complaint I have and that's with the ending. I just have like an unanswered question, but I don't want to spoil it. It's on Netflix, so I definitely recommend watching it. I would give The Ritual a 9 out of 10. Being disappointed with X-Men Apocalypse, I was motivated to watch X-Men Days of Future Past because I wanted to see a good X-Men movie. I freaking love this movie, guys. Just like I said with La La Land, 11 out of 10, I would give Days of Future Past an 11 out of 10. It is just such a great movie. I saw the premiere with my friends, and then I saw it during our 24-hour movie marathon. If you guys have seen that on YouTube, it's still floating around here somewhere. But like everything about this movie just means a lot to me. 11 out of 10, baby. And then the final movie I watched in the month of March was Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One. And ladies and gentlemen, I was not disappointed at all. Is the movie a little messy? Yes. Are there cheesy parts? Yes. But is it really fun? Yeah. I didn't go into this movie expecting a masterpiece or anything. I literally went to the movie, literally, not metaphorically, watched it, and I was expecting to just have a fun time. And that's exactly what I got from this movie. I had a great time. With all that being said, it is completely different from the book. But that honestly doesn't bother me too much. Normally it does, but for some reason it didn't bother me in this case. In fact, I would even say it's in my top 10 Spielberg movies, and I would give it a 9 out of 10. So there you guys have it. Every movie I watched in the month of March. Make sure to like this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and check out my other videos too. Because if you like movies, I kind of talk about those like a lot. Thank you for watching!